Hello, thank you for watching Taxpayer Alert. I'm Al Segalla. I'm president of the Calaveras County Taxpayer Association. I'll be your host at this session. And we try to bring programs that are of interest to the community so that you come back and watch us again sometime. Our guest tonight is John Adams, PhD. And John, I understand you've written 12 books and 50 articles. Mm-hmm. That's quite an accomplishment. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and welcome.
Well, thank you, Al. I'm honored to be invited to do this. I was coming through high school during the Eisenhower years, and Eisenhower encouraged people that were good in math and science to go into math or science in college. So my first two degrees actually were in mathematics. And then when I went for a doctoral degree, I changed over, for a variety of reasons that are too long to go into, to the psychology of work, in a field called organization behavior. But in those days, cognitive psychology, how we think and what that does, was popular. So that's what I basically specialized in. And then after graduate school in the late 60s, I had about 16 to 20 years of employment in either corporate settings or nonprofit settings, and about 20 in academic settings, and 20 years of being self-employed, during which I mostly taught health and stress and personal change adjustment. So that's kind of how I got the way I am now.
It seemed like you'd be a good bartender.
Well, for the right population, I suppose. I don't drink much, but probably a good quality for a bartender.
Well, you're used to personal problems and solving people's problems.
Yeah.
Sure. I understand you've been spending a lot of time and energy in your retirement leading seminars in our area. Can you describe what you've been offering and how these seminars came about?
Okay. Let me draw back on the mathematics background, which made me very aware of the exponential function, which is the curve that goes like a hockey stick. And so that's central to almost everything I do. And also being able to think systems, able to connect the dots, able to think critically. Also, then the cognitive work led me to the conclusion that everyone believes that their point of view is an accurate portrayal of reality. And when there's a big difference, the different points of views tend to vilify each other because my view's right, and so therefore, if you have a different view, you must be wrong or crazy or something. So that creates the high possibility for discord, which we've seen a lot of in our society, especially the last 20 or so years. And I also work a lot with the concept of autopilot, which means we think without thinking about how we think. Mm-hmm. And most people in autopilot think in short-term time perspective, like what's going on right now, and fairly parochial, small picture thinking. So when I think in those ways, I will act in certain ways, and when I act in those ways, I'll get certain results, and that'll reinforce the thinking and make me even more confident that I've got the control of reality. And most people also spend most of their time from within their point of view, either being complacent about how things are going, if it's going well, or in a panic if things aren't going well. So it's hard to move into a preventive mode. And most of my work with health and stress was around preventing problems and teaching people techniques and giving them ideas and recommendations for how to prevent problems before they come up. And then in the area of sustainable work, I came to the conclusion some years ago that the concept of sustainable development was an oxymoron. And I use sustainability in the old-fashioned sense of what a literal definition of being able to keep it going. So I don't think that green programs in business are going to get us very far. They may save us a year or two, but I think that sustainable development is not possible. So I shifted my focus in the most recent seminars I've done to helping individuals and households and communities make choices about how to cope with a situation if there's some kind of disruption. So if the food doesn't get delivered to the county for a couple days, or if we're cut off from UPS deliveries, or if there's a pandemic or something bigger that disrupts services, what will you do individually? What will you do in your family or household? And what can we do together in communities to cope with this in a positive way?
You mentioned about helping people with stress. Would you say stress is an inside job?
How do you mean? Oh, you mean internal of the? Yes, absolutely. I have always approached stress as a biological process. And when we feel something that's threatening or unknown on the outside, it triggers a very primitive Stone Age kind of era fight or flight response. So we're prepared literally to get in a fight or to run down the street screaming. Neither of those responses is usually socially appropriate. So we tend to bottle it up inside, and we end up grinding away inside at what I call strain.
Right.
And that eventually causes the weak link to give way.
Now, would it also be true of happiness? Would happiness be an inside job?
Absolutely. And happiness, I've concluded, it's my strong opinion, and there is some research evidence that happiness does not come from having more stuff.
Right.
And yet our economy, which is where the other seminar comes in,
Right.
is geared to consumers consuming so that the economy can grow every year. And with the idea, you see it all the television commercials, of being happier or whatever if you buy their stuff. And happiness really comes much more from an inner sense of meaning in what I'm doing, purposeful work. It comes from good quality relationships and intrinsic things. So yeah, it's an inside job too. I can't make you happy, and society can't make me happy, but long-term happiness is really how we approach life and the quality of the relationships we have and the meaning in the work we do.
I understand. Now, being ready for an uncertain future. Now, this is, I understand that you have a ham radio station or short wave, where if things got really bad and you had no communication, you'd have communication.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, if for some reason the grid goes down, we won't have the internet, we won't have telephones, we won't have televisions, we won't have radios, except for certain bands. If you have a special emergency radio, you can, with a hand crank on it, if the grid's down, you can get some of the news there. But ham radio operators will be the last resort in terms of, because their networks will stay live when other things go down.
That happened in the Bay Area someplace. There was a major problem, and the ham radio operators really saved the day in communication. Yeah.
Yeah, when the telephone circuits get overloaded, like in the big Oakland Hills fire of 1991, ham radio operators were keeping the information going because you couldn't use the early versions of cell phones or even normal telephones because the circuits were all overloaded and nothing could get through.
Huh. So now, how is your approach different from others? And we watch the preppies on TV, or the preppers. I forget. I don't watch them, but I try to prepare a little bit myself. I got chickens. I had 4. Now I got 3. I had a coyote kill one, and so I don't have happy thoughts about coyotes. And anyway, so how is your approach different than others?
Well, you're right that the media portrayal of preppers is usually in a doomsday scenario and a hunker down scenario, where you buy a refitted ICBM silo and move in with all your guns and all your food and never come out to see the light of day again. I think that my approach is different in a couple of ways. One is that a lot of the books and speakers and media these days portray this macro picture of what should be, and somebody ought to do something about that. And they end up, with a great portrayal or analysis of a situation, and government ought to do this, or the military ought to do that, or the president ought to do this, or the Chamber of Commerce ought to do this, but nothing happens. So I think, who's somebody?
Right. It goes back to number one. Huh?
Yeah, so I focus my work on not on the doomsday scenario, but on, if things happen that disrupt our services, like for example, we never have more than 9 meals in the county for everybody. Because of the way the inventory systems work, the food deliveries come to keep 9 meals in the supermarkets.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you have a bad snowstorm in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, the supermarkets were cleaned out in a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
Anybody that didn't have food to survive that snowstorm, because Washington, D.C. doesn't have snow removal equipment,
Right.
At least none, not significantly. I've been stuck there in snowstorms, I know.
Sometimes a lot of hot air can reduce it.
that would melt the snow around the Capitol for sure. But out in the suburbs where the people are working for nonprofits and not the government, I don't know. What I try to do is foster a positive outlook of if we talk about some of the trends and some of the threats, which I think are real, and none of them are guaranteed to happen, but all of them have a non-zero probability, so
Right.
they may happen. And usually the lower probability things have the biggest impact on us. So like a big earthquake comes along once every 30 years, but when it does, it really messes things up for a while.
Right.
And we don't, of course, have earthquakes here, but we've been having fires and drought. Right now, we've just entered in October a 4th year of drought, and with droughts come fires.
Right.
And we've seen fires on both sides of us each of the last 2 summers. Forest Service says we're ground zero for a fire, so we could end up being cut off by fire.
Yeah.
So what I want to encourage people to do as individuals is to think through these threats and make their own decisions about what do you think is most important for you to do. I don't have a final answer, or I don't have a right answer for sure. But I encourage people to say, all right, what am I going to do in terms of 10 or 11 different categories that we've evolved in order to be prepared for what we think is prudent, whether it's individual or household. And then the approach I take is like the airline announcement when you're taxiing down the runway and they talk about the oxygen mask. They say, first put your own oxygen mask on, then help others.
Right.
So first get your own house in order and then look to the community to see what can be done on a community level to maintain services and maintain a sense of civility and a sense of community until things settle down.
I imagine there's probably a checklist that I know I've got portable radio with batteries and certain things like that, and have some extra water, and I've got chickens and a greenhouse.
Great.
But
You're off to a good start.
Well, I like food, I learned that real early.
You can't go more than 3 weeks without food.
Yeah.
And we can't go more than 3 days without water.
Yeah,
So those are
I knew
two
about that. Yeah.
hard constraints that we
Yeah.
have to factor into our thinking.
So do you have, is there a website that somebody can go to get pointers about this?
Well, yeah, I think the best website, most comprehensive website that offers a lot of information with the minimum amount of you should do this
Right.
is called peakprosperity.com.
Okay.
And they have a what should I do section, and they have a weekly newsletter that comes out that you can subscribe to, which gives you a kind of a rundown of the headlines and the various dimensions that they're following, like terrorism, economy, pandemics, things like that, the different threats. And that they'll have a rundown of headlines around the world in each of those areas that you can read. And if you subscribe and send them money, they let you read really juicy articles. But, I've never found that was necessary because the juicy articles are usually published elsewhere anyway. I just get the normal headlines and scan them each week and see if there's any I want to dig into a little bit further.
The internet is just amazing.
You have to be careful with the internet.
Well, that's true. You can't really believe everything you read.
Right.
But when I was trying to find the fox that stole my chicken this morning, I came across a bunch of feathers, and I found all these mushrooms.
Yeah.
And they're about this big, and I gathered them all up. I had a big pile.
Good.
And then, but my wife said, "Don't you eat those things." She thought I'd kill myself. Well, I went on the internet, and I spotted the same mushroom, and it said it was okay.
Good. good.
And then so I ate it, and so far nothing bad has happened.
That's good
So-
news. We actually had that same conversation today because there's a lot of mushrooms popped up after the recent rains.
Yeah.
And when we were in Denmark last July or June visiting friends, they were mushroom hunters. They took us out mushroom hunting, and we found some that they didn't want to touch, and we found a big basket full that we brought home and had an amazing dinner. Then we went to Sweden to visit other friends, and they're also mushroom hunters, and they took us out to an island. Or they said that if we were there at the right time, it wasn't quite the right time in Sweden, but
Right.
they could take us out to an island, and they posted on Facebook later, 5 or 6 baskets of mushrooms they went and found. And so today we were talking about getting a book that helps you understand which mushrooms you can eat. And went to the local bookstore and they ordered it for us in Murphy's. We also have a new puppy at home, and puppies like to eat anything that smells.
Yeah.
And there are several mushrooms that will kill them instantly, so we have to be very careful about what our dog gets on top of when we let her out.
Now these are local mushrooms that are the dog killers?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
Not everyone, but there's one variety that if it grows and they eat it, it's
Is it one
lethal.
of the ones that has a red cap?
No, it has a white cap and kind of a rounded base and a little collar around the base.
Oh,
It's called a death cap.
oh. That's not the one I ate.
But I gradually have evolved what I've worked with people in these Being Ready seminars into 11 categories.
Okay.
Food is number 1.
Okay.
We've already been talking about food. So what can you do to have food security given whatever you've concluded about what might get in the way of things?
Right.
Is life as we know it might get disrupted for a week or a month or a year or permanently?
Right.
What do you conclude and what kind of food prep? So many people choose to buy canned food and then rotate it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always eating the oldest one and having the newest one at the back.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the maxims in food storage is buy what you eat, store what you eat, and eat what you store. You don't want a bunch of crap in the root cellar that you never eat.
Yeah.
But buy the things you like and rotate them. For people that conclude that they want to be ready for, say, 3 months, you can order online from a variety of sources dehydrated food packets that are balanced and cover breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Do you have a favorite source?
I use Shelf Reliance.
Shelf Reliance.
Shelf Reliance. They carry a brand, oh golly, what's it called? Thrive. Thrive is the name of the food line.
That's a good name.
Yeah, so that's what we have bought a supply of. But some people don't want to get into buying food that has 25-year shelf life and possibly never using it. I hope we never open those buckets, but if we have to, we will. We also have a 6-day bucket in the city where we have an apartment because of earthquake danger.
Right.
So we can hunker down there for 6 days and have plenty of food and water if necessary. I recommend that people consider growing food. You have a greenhouse. We have gardens. We have a portable greenhouse, which we put up when we need it.
It's hard to get roots, isn't it, with that portable, portable greenhouse?
Put them on shelves. We grow a lot of our greens, a lot of our vegetables, a lot of our fruit. We probably produce more fruit than vegetables.
Oh, really?
We have peach trees and apricot trees and apple trees and cherry trees and olives and lots of grapes. We brought in about 80 pounds of grapes last end of the summer.
Oh, really?
And made raisins out of most of them, which then store for a long time.
Were they wine?
No, they're
not wine?
table grapes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I planted a red seedless variety
Okay.
that are table grapes. 'Cause
Okay.
I didn't want to make wine, but I wanted to, have that food available. So growing some of your own food is an option. Storing food, learning how to can food and preserve food and freeze food and dehydrate food.
Yeah. And seeds? You want?
We've just begun collecting seeds from our plants and from the healthiest plants or the most robust piece of vegetable or whatever.
Yeah.
And saving them for the next year.
Yeah.
But still, so far, you can buy seeds from reputable sources. But we're beginning to learn how to do seed saving. First, we wanted to learn how to get stuff to grow.
Yeah.
My farmer friend says it's at least a 10-year learning curve, and even after 25 years, I'm learning new stuff all the time, he said. So, it's challenging just to get the stuff to grow, so that's the first task. And then once we begin to feel comfortable with that, then we can start saving our seeds and doing that. We do that with some crops already. So the food is one area. Energy is another area. You know, everything that we've experienced in the last 70 years since the Second World War of rapid growth and always the economy growing and always new inventions and new technologies, all of that has been driven by cheap, abundant energy. Mm-hmm. If you take oil out of the equation, many of those things would never have happened. And in fact, all of our prosperity is based on cheap, abundant energy. Well, if that's threatened, then it changes a little bit the equation. Or if for some reason the delivery trucks can't bring our fuel up here, how do you get around? You have bicycles or horseback or walking? Or do you have access to things you can walk to or cycle to if necessary? And another area that's very important is water. Oh, and what kind of energy efficiency do you have in your home? Is another item. Is it sufficiently insulated? You have any passive solar features, like if not eaves that block out the summer sun and let the winter sun in, but then maybe shade trees that drop their leaves in the winter and allow the sun to shine in the windows and block some of the sunshine in the summer when it gets so hot.
I have a question on the energy. It seems like oil and gas is one sort. Mm-hmm. There's coal, and then there's also hydro. This is where the water comes from dams and to generators and through electricity. Right. And then of course there's solar and other ones. Between oil and hydro, which do you think is really less expensive?
Oil right now.
To produce? Oh yeah, gas prices have really gone down.
Well, hydro is limited in many ways that oil isn't. Hydro is a very specific. It has to be transported through wires and so on. Oil can be delivered to point of use. Petroleum, gasoline has an incredible density per kilogram.
Okay.
Per unit of size.
For energy.
Yeah. And if you look at, say, the best batteries now, lithium-ion batteries, the best we have,
right.
They are less than 1% as efficient at delivering energy per kilogram as gasoline. So right. Our alternative sources are not yet advanced enough to really replace gasoline until gasoline gets so expensive that they come out even. Now, solar power is beginning to approach that, but there's a lot of problems behind solar power that we don't talk about much too.
When I was a boy, I had a science class and learned about H2O, mm-hmm. which is hydrogen and oxygen. Mm-hmm. And I kept dreaming, and I never lost a dream of finding a way inexpensively to separate the two mm-hmm. without the energy required to separate it being more than the energy produced by having the hydrogen and the oxygen.
Exactly. That's the problem with hydrogen generation.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It appears that maybe it's impossible, mm-hmm. but I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But if that could be... So far. If that could be discovered, mm-hmm. we'd have unlimited energy.
Yeah. 150 years ago, the thought of flying in a heavier-than-air machine was considered to be totally ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
And now we do it all the time without even thinking twice about it. So the water area, I think, is very important. We have a lot of water in the county, but it might not be drinkable right out of the creek or out of the river or the run or whatever.
So you need filter.
So we need a good quality water filter. And there are ceramic filters now called Berkeys and similar things that you put 5 gallons in at night. In the morning you have 5 gallons of good potable water. Even you can take a mud puddle and turn it into drinkable water. So, and maybe a small portable filter for traveling, but a water filter would be very important because, as I said earlier, you can't go more than 3 days without water.
That's true.
And it's one of the most, our bodies are 70% water, and it's always flowing through, as we know, especially as we get older.
Yeah, especially if we drink beer or wine. So water, energy, and then, of course, food.
And shelter.
Shelter.
We have secure living arrangement.
Okay.
Can we afford where we're living? Can we, again, do we have the house sealed up in a way that makes it energy efficient so that it's cool in the summer and warm in the winter?
Right.
Another area is financial security, which relates to shelter in the sense of being affordable. I really encourage people to not carry any debt except maybe a mortgage, if at all possible.
And even work to reduce that.
Yeah, and reduce the mortgage. So debt levels in this country are record highs on average across the country.
Right.
Now, if you don't pay off a credit card every month, get rid of it. That's
Right.
what I encourage people to do.
Right.
Because the credit card interest rates are incredibly expensive. Interest rates are just so high that people that use credit cards to finance their education end up never, ever catching up.
What conclusions have you reached about what people can do to be ready?
Well, these areas are in that area. One thing I wanted to be sure we talked about, I don't think we'll have a chance to get through all 11 of them, but health.
Yeah,
Health security.
That's important.
54% of all the risk factors to our health are everyday lifestyle choices.
Okay.
54%. This is from the Centers for Disease Control
Right.
research. So things like how we eat, do we get enough exercise, do we let ourselves get overtired or stressed out, do we relax appropriately, do we do careless things, driving or drinking or smoking.
Right.
But 54% of all the risk factors are lifestyle. 10% of the risk factors for death or serious illness are caused by the healthcare establishment itself.
I believe that. Now,
Misdiagnosis,
yeah.
drug side effects, all those things are very,
Yeah.
10%. So that's 64% that are under your control. If you don't have to go to the doctor, you don't have to worry about the side effects.
now moving into 2 minutes left,
Okay.
what can the communities in our county be doing?
Well, in these same dimensions. We can form co-ops in the food area. We could look at creating community garden plots where anybody can come in and rent a little section, and if they don't have space on their own property or sunshine on their own property. A lot of communities are doing that all over the world. In England, it's been a part of their culture forever to have allotments where you go to the allotment to grow your vegetables. Energy cooperatives, share a ride, things like that. Water, helping people get sufficient water.
There's one in Murphy's, outer aisle.
Yeah.
Outer aisle. Delicious food. They have a restaurant now
Yeah.
with delicious food.
Very good. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
I gave them a plug.
I think they're great. And I'd love to see more of that spring up all around the county so we could eat local and be confident we're getting really good food. So, yeah, healthy food restaurants are better for us and do promote community stuff. So, what else? Oh, stuff. Do you have enough floss? Do you have enough toothpaste? Do you have enough contact lens solution?
Yeah.
All the things you touch every day but never think about.
It's true.
And can you get them in the community? Or can you help the community get them?
Let's remind people of your website, peakprosperity.com.
It's not mine, but it's one that I use a lot.
I mean, the one you recommend.
Peakprosperity.com is a great place to start in terms of
We
exploring
want
these
to thank you for
issues.
watching, and we'll see you next time.